the 12th of April, Sunday morning, 2026. The end of chapter 19. From the page 1935 to page 1945, Buddhadhamma, compiled by Somdet Pra Buddha Gosacharya. English name, P.A. Payuto. The end of chapter 19, 19.8, Outstanding Benefits of the Four Noble Truths. 19.9, Distilling or breaking down Buddhadhamma into the Four Noble Truths. Then we have 19.10, Appendix, Observation on the Study of Buddhadhamma. Chapter 19.8, Outstanding Benefits of the Four Noble Truths. Besides incorporating the entire spectrum of Buddhist teaching, both theoretical and practical, the teaching of the Four Noble Truths provide many other benefits which can be summarized as follows. It is the way of wisdom. It promotes the solving of problems according to a systematic and reasoned procedure. It is a classic motto. Any effective, rational, or practical method for solving problems must proceed consistent with the Four Noble Truths. It is the method for people to solve problems with and manage their life by way of their own wisdom, by applying and benefiting from truths inherent in nature that naturally arises. One need not depend on a divine or sacred or supernatural power. They are truths relevant to everyone, no matter how broadly or extensively people engage with things. If they wish to have dignity and to relate to things effectively, they need to embrace the benefit from these truths. They are universal, timeless truths directly connected to human life, no matter what forms of technical knowledge or enterprises people create in order to solve problems and to improve their lives, and no matter to what extent these forms of knowledge and activities prosper, decline, pass away, or are replaced by newer forms. The Four Noble Truths endure, are up to date, and can be applied to benefit one's life at all times. Chapter 19.9, Distilling Buddhadhamma into the Four Noble Truths. Although it may appear that many aspects of the context and structure of Buddhadhamma differs from other Dipidikas and scriptures and texts, in fact, it accords with the original system of the Four Noble Truths taught by Gautama Buddha himself. It does not diverge in any way. The chapters and sections of Buddhadhamma can be classified in according to the Four Noble Truths. The first part, Madhina Dhamma Desana, the middle teaching, Dukkha, the nature of human life. So we have the group of the five skandhas, the five aggregates, the five groups. Then we have the six sense spheres, ayatana, the doors that enters these groups. Section 2, the attributes of life, three characteristics, titlakkhana, anicca, dukkha, anatta. We have samudaya. In section 3, the process of life, dependent origination, the law of causes and conditions. When this arises, this happens. When this is eliminated, this happens. Proceed in the forward order and proceed in the backwards order. Then we have karma, the law of continuality, the law of action. Nirodha, section 4, the goal of life. which is Nipita, Nibbana, Nirvana, the supreme peace. We have the Arihats, awakened beings. We have Samatha and Vipassana, calm and insight. With supplementary material in section 5, Buddhadhamma Viti, which means a noble life. From the supernatural and the divine, Buddhist teaching on desire, either the negative aspect, which is tanha, the positive aspect of desire, chanta. Then we have happiness. Part 2, Majjhima Patipata, meaning the middle way. Magga, the way, the path, the foundation. Section 6 is a worthy life. Introduction to the middle way. Virtuous friends, Kalala Mitra. Faith and confidence. Wise reflection, Yoniso Manasikara, or not wise reflection, Ayoniso Manasikara. Then we have the path factors of wisdom, path factors of virtuous conduct, path factors of concentration, and then the conclusions to the Four Noble Truths, which is chapter 19. Some of the material in Buddhadhamma may seem unusual, especially passages explaining unfamiliar terms, like external instruction, parata gosa, kalalamitra, virtuous friends, or yoniso manasikara, wise reflection, or explanations of unique and unfamiliar aspects of common teachings, which are generally not found in other Dhamma books. These special terms and aspects, however, are frequently mentioned in the Tipitaka. And it simply happens that in some time periods, Buddhist scholars and teachers have no need to reason to emphasize them, and therefore, before less conspicuous, the reason the subject material has been included in this book is because now seems to be the right time to give special renewed importance to these terms and meanings. On the other hand, some people may remark their other teachings that I have emphasized and elaborated on in the past have not yet been prominent in this text. Whatever the cause may be, the author of this book is confident that the portion of the subject of the material in relation to special terms and aspects is close to the proportion contained in the Tipitaka, or the Pali Canon, which is the original source of the Buddhist principle teaching. In chapter 1910, appendix 1, observations on the study of Buddhadhamma. The middle teaching, Mahina Dhamma Desana, the dynamics of nature. According to the Buddhadhamma, regardless of whether a Buddha appears in the world or not, remember, a Buddha means an awakened person, a realized being. The truth exists in its objective way, following its own nature. Gautama Buddha simply discovered this truth and revealed it to others. The gist of this truth is that things exist according to the natural causes and process, a dynamic of causes and conditions. Those people who discern things as they truly are, rather than according to how they want them to be, gain insight to this objective truth. From this insight, they derive a comprehensive understanding of truth and a broad vision of phenomena. Nana desana, knowledge and vision. They arrive at true liberation, freed both from regard to the mind. The mind is free from suffering and from oppressive defilements, and it is marked by peace and joy. In the regard to wisdom, they are liberated by the way through knowledge, gaining insight into the pure, unadulterated truth. They are devoid of obstructive, distorting mental defilements, attaining an awakened, immediate understanding of truth. Their understanding is firsthand. It need not be relayed through someone else. The natural cause process manifests in many forms. It is outlined in the various laws of nature. Utu niyama, physical laws. Kama niyama, the law of karma. And Dhamma niyama, the general laws of nature. The mode of physical conditionality, dynamics of natural environment. Examples are the summit of Mount Kailash is very high. The air is very cold. It snows and throughout the year. Another example is Mr. Smith gets stuck in the snow for a long time. Blood flow is reduced due to the cold temperatures. Inadequate blood reaches his fingertips and toes. His fingers and toes ache and become numb. He suffers from frostbite. He is then thus crippled. The mode of karmic conditionality on the level of the mind. Examples are a clock strikes 10 a.m. Mr. Smith, a prisoner whose time of execution has arrived, hears it. He experienced fear. He is weak in the knees and unable to stand. Mr. Bartholomew, a relative of the person killed by Mr. Smith, hears it. His thirst for revenge is slacked. He shouts with joy. Mr. Chadwick, another relative of the deceased, hears it. He is angry, but he reflects on human actions and the results, and thus feels sadness. He is reserved and quiet. Mr. Dimitri, another prisoner about to be executed, hears it. He is previously afraid, but he considers the just deserts of his actions. He walks peacefully alongside the prison guard. The mode of karmic conditionality on the level of the individual. Examples are Mr. Evans swears at Mr. Fisher. Mr. Fisher whacks Mr. Evans over the head with a stick. Mr. Evans suffers a head wound. Mr. Evans takes a gun and shoots Mr. Fisher. Mr. Fisher is critically wounded, and so forth. Mode of karmic conditionality on the level of social or society. The examples are people harvest food that has been grown naturally in nature. Some individuals hoard up this food. Others follow their example. People stake out personal property. People steal from others. Mutual accusations and violence. People recognize the need for social governance. A leader is elected. The origin of the king, etc. This outline follows the context in the Agana Sutra. Karmic conditionality on the level of the mind has a unique characteristic. If one only looks at the external arisen phenomena without referring to the qualities of the mind of these individuals, one is unable to explain the relationship between the cause and effect, the connection between hearing the bell from the clock and the consequent behavior. If the condition to the mind do not exist, the external behavior does not arise. In mode C and D, the factors within the individual are also very important, but they are concealed or less conspicuous and tend to be overlooked. For instance, some people in such circumstances only notice the material or economic factors. Here, mode B has been placed aside these other modes in order to demonstrate the importance of internal factors, which play a participatory role, either in the supportive or conflicting way, in these natural causal process. Mode B is constant and unavoidable dynamic in people's life. It is initiated and results as experienced exclusively by an individual. It is a vital and urgent matter which every person should come to the grips and and gain mastery over within this lifetime, even if they are simultaneously trying to cope with other dynamics inherent in nature. The middle path, Majjhima Patipata, methods for practical application. The middle path or the middle way refers to the way of living one's life with wisdom. Here one applies one's understanding of the objective truth outlined in the Mahina Dhamma Desana, the middle teaching. Devoid of such understanding, one falls under the power of unhealthy desire, fosters vague ideas about how things should be, and thus entrusts one's happiness to craving. At the beginning of one's practice, before one has fully realized this truth, one relies on faith and on those beliefs that are in concord with the principle of causality. One is responsible for acting with reasoned discernment, and one seeks success through one's own volitional action. This stage of mundane right view, Lokiya Samatiti, on the mundane right view level. On the higher level, when one has fully realized the truth, attained liberation and been freed from suffering and from the affliction by mental defilements, one abides with a complete and thorough insight into the nature of causality. This is the level of transcendent right view, Lokutaraya Samatiti. Here one follows the Buddha way of life, Buddha Acharya Dhamma. One lives the supreme life and abides in harmony with the Buddhadhamma. One walks the noble path, the noble way of the awakened ones, of solving life's dilemmas. There is an important distinction between awakened and unawakened individual. The regular disposition of awakened beings is one happiness and free from suffering. Alternatively, one may say that awakened beings are released from suffering and have transcended happiness. Unawakened beings, on the other hand, must consistently pursue happiness because they possess a shortage of it. They are assailed by suffering. The path leading to the end of suffering is comprised by 8 factors. These factors are presented in a threefold process of training and spiritual development. The first process is sila, training in behavior that fosters a virtuous society, which is supportive to a good quality of life for people and conducive to the mind and wisdom development. Here one establishes a moral code, cultivate rectitude of the body and speech, engages in right livelihood. The second process of training and spiritual development is concentration, samadhi. Based on such virtuous and conducive society, environment, and lifestyle, one develops mental refinement, strength and capability and health, and concentration. The third process of training and spiritual development is panya, wisdom. By way of such favorable state of mind, one is able to cultivate wisdom, give rise to a comprehensive understanding of cause and effect. One's actions are guided by the understanding until one reaches direct insight and liberation, abiding in constant ease and joy. This training and development relies on 2 other supportive factors. One of the other supportive factors is parata gosa. The meaning is external factors linked to faith, a favorable environment, influences, in particular to virtuous friends, having a karara mitra. Another supportive factor is yoniso manasikara, reason analysis, sound judgment. These are internal factors linked to wisdom, skilled reflection, wise reflection. These various factors may be outlined further as Buddhadhamma, is defined as the six senses: the eyes, the ear, the nose, the tongue, the body, and the mind, which acts as the principal agent to start on which the spiritual path. From this point, spiritual training relies on external influences and instructions, which may be summed up by saying people are shaped and molded by their environment, and wise reflection, yoniso manasikara, which may be summed up by the saying, if one is skilled at reflection, one may achieve arihatship even by listening to the word of drunks and madmen. When one applies the method of detailed analysis, vibhanga viti, those ethical quandaries that are difficult to solve, for instance, is it moral or immoral for a child to steal money in order to buy medicine for his sick mother, become clear and are no longer a cause for doubt and confusion. External influences on its own is insufficient for realizing the truth. Wise reflection is the decisive factor. The two levels of samatiti, right view, reveal the range of human mental activity, which can be separated into two domains. First, we have wisdom, panya, insight, nana, true knowledge, vijja, whereby ignorance, avijja, is severed, cut off, eliminated. This is equivalent to transcendent right view, lokutaraya samatiti, that pertains to knowledge, to truth, sciences, and the principal life of the natural laws of causes and conditions. The second domain is faith, sattha, wholesome desire, chanta, compassion, karuna, whereby craving, the negative aspects of desire, tanha, is severed, cut off, eliminated. This is equivalent to mundane right view, lokiya samatiti, and pertains to values, morality, and practical arts, human behavior, individuality, and society. Note that from a broad perspective, the meaning of the term Buddhadhamma is restricted and does not encompass the entirety of Buddhism. The original term with all-embracing means Dhamma Vinaya. The volume discusses the Dhamma at length, is thus aptly titled Buddhadhamma, but the correct term is Dhamma Vinaya. But it is only briefly discussed in the Vinaya. Perhaps there ought to be a companion volume into the text titled Ariya Vinaya. The first one is Dhamma, teachings on the truth and virtue, pertaining to the essential truth and principles, to matters discovered and revealed by an awakened being, Buddha. They emphasize the internal spiritual life of an individual. They aim to solve and prevent personal problems and to foster internal growth. The second is Vinaya. This is codes of conduct and establishment of such codes, principles, rules established. The term Vinaya pertains to social systems and conventions, ways of practices according with the aforementioned principles, disciplinary precepts, and the laying down of laws. A Vinaya is an instrument, a tool for establishing a code of living, a social system that accords with the objectives of the Dhamma. One draws upon the essential principles of the Dhamma to set down the system of practice, provided truly effective results amidst the truth of the tangible world. A Vinaya encompasses external behavior, everyday life, one's society and environment, communal interrelationship, and one's responsibility to the common good. It aims to solve and prevent external problems and to foster communal prosperity. This is the end of chapter 19. I am not going to read chapter 19.11, appendix 2. This just gives the order of chapters in the Thai edition of the Buddhadhamma. And as we pick up on the next one, we're going to go ahead and read a special appendix. And the special appendix is going to go in depth on the Sita, Vijnana, and the Mano. Now, so the Citta is the mind, but in this case, they're pertaining to the heart. Vijnana is the consciousness, and the Mano is the mind. Buddhadhamma